So remember back when Donald Trump said he'd be getting rid of accountability for cops, when he said that police officers would be given full immunity? Because full immunity is something Donald Trump is obsessed with because he's full of crimes. His entire life, as I've said many times, is one big Grand Theft Auto storyline. Donald Trump's Justice Department, Foolishness Department, has shut down federal law enforcement misconduct tracker. Let's read this nonsense. This nation becomes a bigger joke as the days go by. Justice Department shuts down federal law enforcement misconduct tracker. The Department of Justice has eliminated its national database that tracked misconduct among federal law enforcement officers. Agencies can no longer agencies can no longer I'm not sure how to pronounce this. Inquire. They can no longer ask questions. They can no longer look into. I'm not sure how to pronounce that word, so we're just going to use words I can properly pronounce. Or add data to the National Law Enforcement Accountability Database. The Justice Department posted in an online statement confirming that it is being decommissioned as a result of an order signed by President Trump on his first day in office that rescinded 78 Biden-era executive actions. The website where the database existed is now a dead link. The Justice Department did not immediately respond to CBS News' request for a comment. The police misconduct database was operational for a little over a year. Having launched in December 2023, it was not public. Instead, law enforcement agencies could privately search for information on whether a new hire or officer within their ranks had a documented history of abuse of violating department policies or law, for example, racial bias or excessive use of force. It was conceived in an attempt to reduce the problem of so-called wandering officers, instances where police were forced out of their jobs because of substantiated misconduct, simply found new jobs at different agencies that would otherwise have no way of knowing their history and the potential risk of arming them with a badge and gun. The idea of a federal police misconduct database was proposed by the first Trump administration in an executive order called Safe Policing for Safe Communities on June 16, 2020. However, efforts to establish one did not begin until Executive Order 14074, signed on May 25, 2022, by then President Joe Biden, marking 2 years since George Floyd's killing by a Minneapolis police officer. The Biden order was among those rescinded by Mr. Trump on January 20th. Of course, Donald Trump can't stop himself from signing executive orders that further damage the country. I don't know why MAGA thinks it's a good thing. I don't know if people know this, but most victims of police brutality are not black. They're white, because most people in America are white. So when police officers kill a black man and it goes viral on social media, there's like 100 white dudes they've shot and killed illegally that no one even knows about. Partially because a white cop killing a white guy, it's not very easy to turn that into a story. Most people just don't care. However, a white cop killing a black man, there's history behind that kind of dynamic. I mean, it's extensive since slavery leading up to now. Despite the fact that police brutality affects people of all races, but mostly white people, MAGA does not care. And these are the same people, by the way. These are the same people who sit there and wear 1776 shirts. They fly flags that say, "Come and take it." These are people who really believe themselves to be enemies of tyranny and an overreach of governmental power. However, when they get power, the first thing they do is overreach. The first thing they do is erase any sort of accountability for themselves or their minions, because Donald Trump wants law enforcement to not feel as though their actions could be prosecuted in the court of law. Donald Trump wants his minions to feel the utmost amount of confidence in any illegal, disgusting, evil order he gives them by knowing they can never go to jail. They can never be held accountable. None of this is going to be documented. There's no system to put these people in. These people are now ever more confident in the crimes they commit. A lot of MAGA supports this because they live in this world where like police brutality is something that only happens to blacks and Hispanics, and no, it happens to everyone, mainly straight white males. So there's going to be a whole lot more dead straight white males whose killers will have no accountability. A whole bunch of straight white males who are assaulted and stolen from and framed by the police. And there's not going to be any accountability. Courtesy of Donald Trump. This is the worst administration ever. Donald Trump is by default the worst president in the history of this nation. This man has destroyed accountability for law enforcement and is proud of it. And he actually said this in the lead up to the election. We saw this man say this crap. We saw this man say this nonsense. We saw this man say it live. And now he's turning it into reality. Donald Trump is legitimately insane. And I sincerely hope that this nation is ready for what's to come, because Donald Trump is not going down without a fight in law enforcement so he can prepare them to do his bidding. Donald Trump is sowing the seeds of immorality, criminality, and lunacy in law enforcement so they can carry out his acts of aggression against the public. That is what's happening. Donald Trump is trying to lash out at the entire country because he ended up almost going to prison because of his own actions. So now, because of the petty man he is now lashing out at the entire country. Donald Trump now wants revenge on the entirety of the United States because he almost went to jail because of his own actions. That is the reality of what we are faced with. A lunatic who is mad at us because of some shit he did. Like, nigga, what the fuck is you mad about? That was you. But whatever. We are to pay for the crimes of a man who is just beyond any sort of redemption. Not because we did something wrong, but because he can't believe that we would have the audacity to try to make him accountable, to try to hold him accountable for what he's done. Total clown world.